Stop. Before you think this is impossible, ask yourself, what if poverty itself was simply abolished? It's a massive economic shift. Welcome back to Fluent Talk.
And welcome back, Dr. Utopia. Listeners, remember that our goal is to help you understand English at an authentic, professional pace. If you can follow every complex idea about fiscally irresponsible policies and economic theory, your English comprehension is truly excellent.
That's right. And if terms like pilot program or basic income sound complex, please don't give up. Just pause, look up the term, and then listen repeatedly. That is the proven key to achieving fluency.
Now, let's begin today's monumental debate. Universal Basic Income, UBI. I argue without reservation that UBI is a utopian fantasy, a fiscally irresponsible policy that will inevitably lead to economic collapse by crippling incentives for work.
Oh, Prof. Austerity. Oh, that is the language of fear. We are talking about human dignity. UBI is a necessary fundamental safety net to prepare society for the inevitable wave of job losses caused by automation.
That is an assumption, Doctor. We must consider the immense cost and the guaranteed fact that, if you pay people to stay home, a majority of them eventually will.
Let's talk about the economic reality of the next 2 decades. Automation is coming for middle-class jobs. Truckers, analysts, customer service. A universal basic income is not charity. It is a critical preemptive measure to prevent massive social unrest and poverty when millions lose their jobs to robots.
The threat of automation is constantly overstated. Historically, technology creates more jobs than it destroys. UBI, however, will create a severe disincentive to work, particularly in low-wage sectors that society still desperately needs, like sanitation and elder care.
The automation. Can you define precisely what an economist means by that term in the context of mass job displacement?
I'm happy to clarify. Automation refers to the use of technology, primarily advanced robotics and artificial intelligence, to perform tasks previously done by human labor, especially routine, cognitive, or physical jobs, leading to widespread structural unemployment in specific economic sectors.
Exactly. UBI gives people the time to retrain, to innovate, or to pursue work that benefits society, like art and caring, instead of being trapped in a dead-end job. It is an investment in human capital.
No, you are fundamentally misunderstanding the role of labor. Work is about dignity, not just income. Paying people to not work is fiscally irresponsible and undermines the very moral fabric of society.
Poverty undermines dignity far more than a guaranteed safety net ever could.
The implementation of a UBI would require massive new taxes or huge cuts to essential services, leading to a catastrophic economic collapse. The cost is simply astronomical, potentially adding trillions to the national debt. It is a fiscally irresponsible experiment.
It's not an experiment. It's a proven concept. We have dozens of pilot programs around the world that show UBI recipients are healthier, they start small businesses, and they actually seek higher quality work, not less.
But those small pilot programs are funded by limited grants and do not reflect the true national cost. Furthermore, the evidence is highly contested. Many pilot programs have been too small or too short to draw any meaningful conclusions about a nationwide implementation. We, cannot risk the entire economy on hope.
I must interrupt. You used a very strong term. Can you define precisely what you mean by economic collapse in the context of this policy? Like, what is the failure point?
Economic collapse refers to a severe financial crisis where unemployment skyrockets, production grinds to a halt, and mass inflation or hyperinflation destroys the currency's value, in this case, triggered by the massive, unsustainable deficit spending required to fund the UBI.
And the solution is not to stick our heads in the sand. The success of the pilot programs proves that UBI is both necessary and manageable if funded correctly by taxing wealth and the huge profits generated by automation.
Taxes of that magnitude would simply drive capital out of the country. This plan is not manageable. It is a direct road to economic collapse.
One of the greatest benefits of a universal basic income is the massive reduction in administrative waste. We can replace a dozen overlapping, inefficient, and dehumanizing welfare programs with one simple, streamlined cash payment. This reduces bureaucracy and treats citizens with dignity.
That efficiency comes at the cost of massive, immediate inflation. Injecting trillions of dollars into the economy without increasing production will devalue the currency and increase the cost of goods, making housing and food unaffordable for everyone. You are trading red tape reduction for an economic collapse.
But the increase in consumer demand and the subsequent reinvestment in local businesses and education will stimulate production and growth. UBI is a massive economic stimulus. The fear of inflation is completely exaggerated.
Hold on, Dr. Utopia. You mentioned pilot program. Could you define what kind of success or data is typically sought from a UBI pilot program? Like, what metrics are important?
A UBI pilot program is a controlled, limited study to measure the behavioral and economic impact of the income floor. Key metrics include physical and mental health improvements, entrepreneurship rates, educational attainment, and whether individuals leave the workforce entirely. The data consistently shows positive outcomes.
A small study's positive outcome cannot be scaled to the national level. You cannot ignore the fiscally irresponsible cost and the guaranteed inflation. We must be cautious.
Complexity and bureaucracy kill both efficiency and dignity. UBI is simple, efficient, and humane.
There is a fundamental moral hazard to UBI. It disconnects effort from reward. Work provides structure, identity, and moral value to a person's life. By providing income without expectation, UBI risks creating a class of passive recipients, eroding the work ethic necessary for a thriving society.
That is an outdated, punitive view of human nature. We are not lazy. UBI is a liberation. It frees people from the necessity of taking a dehumanizing, low-wage job just to survive. It allows them to unlock their true potential, to become teachers, caregivers, or entrepreneurs.
That sounds wonderful in theory, but where is the evidence that the majority will choose to become entrepreneurs rather than simply choosing leisure? The economic risk of economic collapse is too high to bet on human idealism.
You have mentioned fiscally irresponsible several times. What makes a policy fiscally irresponsible to an economist?
A policy is considered fiscally irresponsible when it proposes spending that cannot be sustainably financed through current or projected tax revenue, leading to massive long-term national debt, high inflation, and ultimately destabilizing the entire economy.
The greatest moral hazard is forcing people into poverty. UBI trusts people to use the income floor responsibly, and the pilot programs prove that trust is earned. We must factor in the hidden costs of not having UBI. The billions spent on emergency services, crime, welfare bureaucracy, and healthcare related to poverty vastly outweigh the cost of a simple universal basic income. UBI is preventative spending.
But you cannot claim that the cost of UBI is less than the cost of poverty. The upfront spending required to provide a universal income to every citizen, regardless of income, is exponentially higher than targeted welfare programs. This plan is economically unsound.
The universality is the point. It removes the shame, the stigma, and the high administrative cost of means testing. It is the most efficient and dignified way to deliver economic security.
UBI funds will simply be spent on non-essential consumer goods, further stimulating the wrong parts of the economy. Shouldn't we invest directly in infrastructure, education, and healthcare? Targeted spending that creates actual, tangible value.
Targeted spending is necessary, I concede. But UBI ensures that every citizen has the foundational stability to benefit from those investments. We need a floor before we can build a stronger roof.
And that floor will be built on the unsustainable debt that triggers an economic collapse.
Prof. Austerity. I maintain that universal basic income is the essential, indispensable social contract for the age of automation. It is a necessary investment in human potential, proven successful by numerous pilot programs, and the only ethical way to manage the coming economic transition.
Prof. Utopia, I conclude that UBI is an impossibly expensive, fiscally irresponsible policy. It creates a major disincentive to work and will lead to an inevitable economic collapse through massive inflation and unsustainable debt. We must manage, not dream.
We must look beyond fear and embrace the future where technology serves humanity.
We must respect the budget, or the consequences will be severe for everyone.
And with that deeply philosophical, high stakes, and vital impasse, we conclude today's debate on universal basic income.
Dr. Utopia presented an inspiring case for UBI, citing the threat of automation and the success of various pilot programs.
While I, Prof. Austerity, argued against the policy, emphasizing that it is fiscally irresponsible and risks an economic collapse by creating a work disincentive.
Now it is up to you. Whose economic vision is correct? And remember the incredible benefit you just gained. You have successfully trained your ear to understand complex economic and social policy English arguments, highly specialized vocabulary, and natural conversational flow. If you followed that, your English is truly superb.
If you struggled with any of the terms, remember our golden advice. Pause, look up the word, and listen again and again and again. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more intense, high-value debates every single day on Fluent Talk.
Join us next time for EP 22, where we will dive into a critical discussion on the ethics of AI in warfare. Should autonomous weapon systems be banned?
That promises to be a complex and relevant discussion. Thank you for challenging your English skills with us today.
Bye for now. And remember, consistent listening leads to total fluency.